Hello and welcome back to my channel. It feels like a very long time since I filmed anything, even though it's only been a week. As you can hear, my voice still isn't great. Since the last video, it's gone and it's slowly coming back again, which is why this TBR is quite late. Today's the 4th of October. I have 10 books on my October TBR, and I have to leave the house in 22 minutes, so let's go. I'm going to make this a snappy one. First of all, we're going to go through all the reading challenges that I have this month. So the first reading challenge that I've been doing all year is the book Voyage reading challenge, where each month you have a different part of the world to read a book from. And in October, then the part of the world is South America, and I've actually picked 2 books for this one. I don't know if I will read both of them this month, but they both sounded really interesting. So the first one is Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana Enriquez, and I actually first heard about this in Noelle Gallagher's wrap-up for her September wrap-up, and I thought it sounded really interesting, but I didn't realise that it was set in Argentina, and then when I realised it was, I was like, perfect for the South America challenge. So as I said, it's set in Argentina. It's a series of short stories about, I think, women living in Buenos Aires. So yeah, very much looking forward to reading this. It's been a while since I read a short story collection. I will say, I really don't like this cover. The UK cover has nothing on the American cover. The American cover is gorgeous, and I was kind of gutted I couldn't find anywhere to buy it without getting shipped over. But yes, looking forward to reading this one. The other book that I've chosen for the challenge is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, and this is a fantasy based on Bolivian folklore, I believe. I'm really excited to read this. When I was looking for books to read for the challenge, I was really looking for something sort of fantastical or adventurous that had its roots in South American tradition. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And this cover is just, I mean, isn't it gorgeous? Also, and I didn't realise this when I ordered it, but this is it's an American paperback, which means, look at those floppy pages, yeah. The other annual challenge that I'm doing is the Back to the Classics challenge. And so rather than have a set challenge for each month, this one just has 12 prompts and you do them at your own speed. And I'll admit, I picked this one for this month before I realised quite how many arcs I had to do this month. But I've been putting it off since January, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna commit. And that is Moby Dick by Herman Melville, which I'm reading for the prompt of a book with an animal in the title, or about an animal, as metaphorical as that animal may be, before you say, but it's not really about the whale. I know it's not really about the whale, but there's a whale in it, so it counts. So yes, Moby Dick, a very famous book about man hunting a whale and the nature of man and man versus the... I don't know. But yes, I have actually started this one, as you can see, because it is a few days into October, and I'm determined to read it so that I'm not left to the last week of December with this still looming over me. So yes, I'm currently reading this one. Also, shout out to this cover. It's all nice and like embossed here as well. And I'm not usually a fan of Collins classics, which is this one is a Collins classic, because their usual editions are a bit rubbish, and they use very old translations, but this one isn't translated, so I'm looking forward to it. The final book for this first part of the TBR, that's all sort of prompts and challenges and things, is our book club pick. I run a book club called Bisexual Bookworms, and we read loads of queer books of different genres. Our October-November pick is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nivwa. I'm very excited for this. It's a fantastical queer retelling of The Great Gatsby, or sort of reimagining of The Great Gatsby. I don't know much about it beyond that, but it looks really interesting, so I'm very excited to get to this one. The rest of the books I have on my TBR are all arcs. Things got slightly out of hand. They were already out of hand, and then last night I did some late night NetGalleying, which you just should never be allowed to do, and I didn't think I would get approved for them all, but here we are. So I got a lot of arcs. Some of them, like I said, are NetGalley arcs. Some of them authors have approached me. Some of them I've approached publishers. Some of them I've got from other websites. So they're all from all over. First of all, and I have actually read this one because, as I said, it is a few days into October, and that is Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall. I might do a full video review on this. I don't want to say anything about my reactions because this is a TBR, even though I've already read it. But this is a queer Regency rom-com filled with all the tropes and shenanigans you would expect in Regency romance, but with a bit of a twist. I was very excited to read this, and I'm not going to tell you what I thought. It's so hard not to tell you what I thought, but you can tell from the big grin on my face what I thought. Next up is another one I've already read, and that is Cunning Women by Elizabeth Lee. And this is about a village, a Lancashire village in the early 17th century, in the years following the Pendle Hill witch trials, and follows a family where the mother is the sort of local cunning woman, so kind of herbalist in the village, and it follows her daughter as she wants to keep her family safe, but also starts to dream of a future sort of beyond just that. So yes, set historical novel, set sort of during the witch trials kind of era. Just the cover and the general vibes are so Octobery. So yes, witchy historical fiction in that one. The rest of them I haven't actually read yet, so I won't be biting back spoilers. But the next one on my list is Wildflowers by Hayden Winston. This is, I believe, an romance. It's a contemporary story about a young man who goes back to his hometown and is forced to face up to his past, but finds love on the way. So a nice bit of escape. I've got some quite heavy books, so quite nice escapism from some of those in that one. Then we have Learwife by Jr Thorpe. This is a historical fiction about the wife of King Lear. I know nothing about King Lear, so I think before I read this, I'm going to have to at least Wikipedia the plot of the Shakespeare play that this is based on. I love historical fiction. I love books that retell a well-known story, but centering a different voice, and especially when that's a female voice in a sort of male-led story. So very much looking forward to this one as well. I'm saying that about all the books as if I don't pick books that I look forward to. I only read books I look forward to. So that's why I'm saying it a lot. Next up is Things a Bright Girl Can Do by Sally Nichols. This is a YA historical fiction about 3 girls in their mid to late teens, I believe, who join the suffragette or suffragist movement. What's not to love? What's not to love? It's a story about suffragettes. I believe there's a sapphic romance as well. It's historical. Again, there's a bit of a theme in this video, but that ticks all of my boxes. The next one on my list is 3 by Jennifer Jenkins. You guessed it, it's a historical novel. When I started NetGalley, I just coincidentally ended up reading a few historical fictions in a row, and now my entire NetGalley is historical fictions because that's just what I keep getting approved for. I'm in this like vicious cycle of historical fiction, which is a-okay because I do love historical fiction. 3 is a slightly odd one, I feel, to read or release in the middle of a global pandemic, because it's about the plague. Yay! And it's set in Eyam, which is a village. It was known as the Plague Village, a village in Derbyshire, which when the plague hit, it shut itself off from the world, built a wall around the village and no one was allowed in or out to protect people from other villages. So that village obviously had a devastating effect, the plague, but they kept lots of the nearby villages safe from their actions. So this story follows 3 of the women who live in Eyam. I probably would have picked this up anyway because it's historical fiction centering women's stories, so you know that's my jam, and that applies to about half the books on this list by this point. But I also was really interested in reading it because I grew up near Eyam when I was a kid. We lived and sort of visited near Eyam quite a lot, and I have lots of fond memories of going there. And they also have, I mean, all of their tourist attractions are about the plague. It's not like a cheerful place to visit, but I do have fond memories of going there. So I was sort of excited to read something in a setting so near something that I know. And that's it. That's my October TBR. That might be the snappiest TBR I've ever done, but I have a whole 9 minutes before I have to leave the house. So thank you very much for joining me. My September wrap-up will be coming later on in the week, hopefully. I will have more voice for that one. And if you are interested in any of the books I've talked about, or if you've read any of them, then do let me know. And let me know what you are reading in October. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!